Alrighty. Oh, I should close that. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome back to another eventful day of Python. So, how was the homework for everyone? I know I asked this like right before class started, but did we feel kind of okay? Welcome. So, we were kind of okay. It was. So, one thing I said I left slightly ambiguous was the validate user input. And I did that on purpose, as it kind of sticks into leads into our next lesson, which is looking at like manipulating strings and understanding kind of how to get information and put it into a form that we can use. So, we're going to go back to the phone number, our phone number function. So we're going to talk about validating phone number. How do we know something's a phone number? So what we're going to do is we're going to get a list of information. We're going to get on the board. What makes your phone number a phone number? Okay. All right. So we're going to do lists. Everyone. What makes your phone number a phone number? What makes it not just some other thing of numbers? Yes. 10 digits. Okay. Next part. What makes a phone number a phone number? What other part's very special? Yes. It's got an area code. All right. So I'll give you a hint. There's also a format it comes in. What is that format? Yes. So it comes in with 3 digits, then a hyphen, 3 more digits, a hyphen, and 4 digits. Okay, so this is kind of what we think of as a phone number. I'm going to leave out the having parentheses, international code, things like that. So if I give you some set of numbers, this is what you kind of want to use to determine if it's a phone number or if it's just some other text. So I'm going to start writing a little bit of translating this exactly into code. I'm going to add another rule really quick. That there's no letters in it. Okay, so for our phone number, I'm going to write a function for this. Again, this wasn't exactly what the homework's for, but it's just kind of adding a little bit onto it. So I'm going to make this function called phone number. Pass in some text. Okay, so we're going to take advantage of a couple of these. So we say it has 10 digits, and we got 2 hyphens as well. So how many individual characters is that? 12. So I'm going to start out with a starting one. So, yeah. Whoops. Oh, okay. I'll try. So our first one, right off the bat. If our text is not exactly 12, we can say it is not a phone number. So we're looking for also those 10 digits and the hyphen. Just a couple different ways to do this. I'm gonna spread it out a bit. So I'm going to say, actually, this. So this is, actually you're right, I'll be more specific to make this less confusing. We're going to use a couple of these later. Have you guys seen the range with two numbers passed into the comma? You've seen this before? The range from number to the other number? Okay. So this will go index 0, 1, and 2. Just to keep that clear. So what I want is if so I've got if text I. What I'm looking for is in some kind of number, so I'm going to use is decimal. So remember, is decimal returns true or false, so we can use it in an if statement on its own. Let's. I'm going to do if not. I'm going to need that. So right now we say, is the length 12? And then, are the first three numbers decimal numbers? Oh, if they're not decimal, we know it's not a phone number. So we're going to repeat this a couple more times. I'm going to run out of space and jump to the across the board. In your code, it'll just go down one line. Keep going. So we're going to do this one more time. So this is. Wait, I need to say. So for this next one, so I said where the first three numbers were a decimal. This next one I'm going to say are the three numbers skipping that hyphen, a decimal. So basically the same thing's going to come in one more time. If I'm writing very sideways. If not text I is decimal. Return. Okay, I'm gonna jump over here. Just here. Gonna do it one more time. Yes.
Is the two for commands inside the definition?
Yeah, this is all our function. So if not okay. We got one more. Or two more, really. So, if. We want to talk about x3. Really quick, we're just going to finish this off. These last two, we checked then. So right now we checked for the range. For the first three numbers are skipping the hyphen, so that's why we jumped from 3 to 4. Then we're checking are those next three decimals. Then finally we skip again from 7 to 8. and then we're checking the last 3 decimals. Finally, we're going to check to make sure we got 2 hyphens. Check 6 not equal hyphen. Return false. Finally, return. All right. I just realized. Wait, I need the 11. I won. Okay. So, really quickly running through the whole thing one more time. So we define some function is phone number. Our first thing we say, is it exactly 12 digits? Okay? Or sorry, is it exactly 12 really characters in length, whatever we pass in? If it's not exactly 12, it's not a phone number. We know that immediately. Then we say, are the first 3 numbers decimal, which means they're the first 3 numerical values. Then we're jumping over the hyphen. We're gonna say, are the 3 values skipping that hyphen also numbers? Then finally, are the last 3 numbers, the last 3 characters numbers? Then finally, we're just gonna make sure are the spaces in between both hyphens. Oh wait, actually, I'm skipping one. All right. If you typed all this code, you're slightly ahead. If you haven't already, I'm gonna say you want to put this in. Yes.
Why is the second section necessary?
What now?
Why is the second section necessary?
Why is this
Second section is necessary.
the second section
Yes.
of code?
No, the second. Yeah.
We want to check that they're numbers to make sure
I
that,
know, but why does it have to be I in range of 0, 3?
because you have to check all 3 numbers individually. You could also grab the string from 0 to 3 and check are those numbers as well. That would also work. I'm just going through every single character individually in this, but that works too. Yeah, you can create some string from the first 3 values with a slice and then do is decimal in that. That works. So, like I said, you're going to want to put this code in really quick, and I'm just going to show that, unless I made some glaring mistake or something I can't see, that it should work for phone numbers, okay? I wasn't expecting this to be your massive check to make sure it's a phone number. This wasn't expected for the homework. This is the more complete version, but so really quick, I'm going to give you some inputs. I'm going to erase my rules, or I'll keep them for now. So I'm going to write down a couple numbers. Let's just make x2. Here's a phone number. Cool. So here's a couple different phone numbers. So if you have the function already defined as is phone number, the first thing you want to do is you're going to want to write like 2 lines of code. I'm going to put it right here to really quick just kind of check out how to use it. So you don't have to take user input, by the way. This is fine. You can basically just print is phone number. And then you can pass in the text. Okay? you can pass in the text like this. So just 3 lines of code of just print his phone number, and you'll get him out in order. So we good? Did we try this? Still working? Still working? Yes. Yeah. So it'll print out true, false, false if you put them in this order. You can also try your own phone number as well in this kind of format. It should work. You can try really anything if you like. It should be pretty much foolproof. Once you have like parentheses and whatnot. Yes. Range. Rage. How do you spell it? Range then. Gotta spell it right too. So spell it range with an N. Did I spell it? I didn't spell range. No, I'm good. Spell it with an N. They're all spelled with an N. There's no N on that one. Oh. Enraged. You're not enraged. Well, you may be, but yes.
How do you add items to a library? This is not
library. A dictionary, a list.
Oh,
we haven't taught. We don't talk about libraries in this class. I don't think.
A dictionary.
A dictionary? A dictionary, you add things in a key-value pair.
I know I tried that, but it says it's type or unsupported operand type.
Pair unsupported. You can use add item. Add. Is it? Is it not just add? I'm pretty sure it's just add. Am I crazy? Let me. Were you still wondering, by the way, how to add to a dictionary? So, what's your name of your dictionary? Here's how the operation works. You give it the name. You pass in a key. This should probably be a name, what you take in. And then you assign it a value, such as like.
Alright, so this is everything then except for the
Just wait, just to confirm. This would be like, so if your inputs were called name and number, it'd be phone book name equals number. So if this doesn't exist, it'll create it and add it. It does it. It kind of does it for you. Are we close, guys? Did we try this? Pretty large phone book, or not phone book, phone number question. We good? Feeling? Tried it? Working? Not working? Yes. Yes. Not returning anything? Are you printing? Or are you just calling his phone number? You need to print out the answer too to see if it's true or false. Unless you're in a console, then we'll just tell you. Alright. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of keep this function, we're going to use it. So I'm going to talk about the slicing with it. So take these out real quick. So this function is cool, but what about like, you know, in the real life, people send you a message and you get a phone number. They say, you know, hi, I'm Jake from State Farm or something. You know, you can reach me at So, what if someone sends you, like, you know, they send you like a message? Sorry. Yeah, I'll just leave it for now. Let's imagine that's on one line. So I don't, for now. So they send you, they send you like a text message. It contains like this. How do you extrapolate their phone number? You got a lot of text, and there's 2 phone numbers too. What if I want both? So one thing we can do, like I said, we can slice. Here's a way to go through it. Let's say so I'm going to say we'll give this something like, we'll call it message. You can say for I in range message.length, or not message.length, the length of the message. I'm gonna grab a slice. Alright, I'll call it a chunk, so it doesn't run into any name problems. I'll call it a chunk. And remember, I can use that slicing thing from message. I'm gonna specify, I wanna start at I wanna go up 12 values. Sorry, I'll write that in reverse. Okay. So what the slice is within a for loop is I'm basically gonna, every time I increments up to the length of this, which is a pretty large amount of numbers, it's gonna keep jumping up, and every time it's always gonna grab exactly 12, the next 12 characters. So the first time it's going to grab the first 12, the next time it's going to grab the next 12, but shifted 1 over. And it's going to keep doing that until it gets all the way down to the end. Alright, so now we're just going to check, is this, what do we want to find out about this chunk? Let's have it print out a phone number if it finds one. Let's say, where we can call our if is phone number. We can pass in our chunk of text. And then, if it is a phone number, let's print it out. And then all right. I'm gonna do this time. So you can try this one, and you can see even if you add some text, we can still use our function from before and kind of pull phone numbers out of it. Ooh. 4 people calling me out my escape sequence usage. try this? Working out, throwing errors. I made one small mistake, by the way. I put a. If you want to use a state sequence, that's fine. I had a single quote. You could also just put double quotes around it too. Both work. Just don't have the single quote here and then single quotes around it without the state sequence. Yes.
And I would say that's for learning.
Lane? Your range has to be in parentheses. Range is a. Sorry, that would be my bad. Range is a function. Yeah, I'm sorry. Range is a function, or range is a function you call that gives you information. It would be. Yes. You but there's no repeat. It just jumps into that code if it's X is not set. You want some kind of loop to try it multiple times. For a while loop. I would just put a while true, so you can just keep trying things. Yes.
When it's saying if is phone number chunk, is it checking for the function chunk?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna explain that in a moment. We're gonna really quickly run through that. Yes.
Wait, how do you return the word?
Return a what now?
How do you return the top of the
Return to the top of a loop? There's a thing called continue. But why would you need to? I just want to know, why do you?
I'm trying to make it so that so that the input is equal to if the input returned to a string is equal to print, then it prints the.
If the input's equal to.
Print, then it.
So wait, what? Oh, you want to directly print? So there's a thing called continue you can use. I wouldn't use that. You can use elif, else for all the other statements. So it'll check them in a row. Are we good? Did we try this? Sorry, I didn't add my parentheses around range, which is my bad. Are we good? We try this? Didn't work? Did work? No response yet? Yes.
It says it's 2 numbers.
12. I plus 12?
Oh.
Yes.
It's not. It's not you. It's not.
Continue. Is it recognized as a keyword? So is it, if it continue will go straight to the end of whatever the first loop is. So if it's already in a loop, continue won't really do anything. So I'd recommend having, if you want to do it, you want to check if, and then everything else is else if. So we'll check everything in a row. And if one thing occurs, nothing, it'll stop checking everything below it. Yeah. This string of text will give you 2. This string of text will give you 2. There are 2 phone numbers here. I call 9 plus 12. Exactly that. I am getting to I'm doing something different. I don't think I changed it. You have one too many numbers. You have 4 numbers in your phone, 7 phone number. That's why it's not a phone number. It's a stickler for typing. You gotta type exactly correctly. Alright, are we good? Tried this? It's kind of cool. Alright, we're going to talk about a module that you can import that does a lot of this for us now. So, we have a thing called regular expressions. I call it regex. So there basically is a thing you can import in Python for doing this. So we got this nice function. We can keep it for now, but I'm just going to show off a little bit of a better way to go about the same thing instead of a bunch of if checks. So there's this Python. There's this module called RE. You can import this if you're run this if you're running it on the idle. If you're running it in the scripting, if you're running it on PyCharm, you can just add it at the very top. So what this does is it allows us to basically create what's called a format and then double check if it follows the format very quickly. Okay? So our format, I just erased it. It was the 3. We said it was 3 numbers and a hyphen, then 3 numbers and a hyphen, then 4 numbers. So when we create a when we create a regular expression, our format, we can basically drop a bunch of papers on the ground. We can do. Okay. So, I'm going to erase our phone number. We basically define a variable as our an expression that we're looking to follow. So, like, we're going to call it phone number, and we call it reg and then x. So that's our variable for it. So it's got a little bit of a weird format. You may not have seen something kind of like weird like this before. So what we're going to do, we want to use our module that does this. We want to compile, and then we are going to pass it in. This. Whoops. Okay, so what this does is it specifies a format. I'll explain what this is. So remember what I said was I specified that this is with R. If you remember, the R means I want a raw string. So for this, it basically says that keep the backslashes, and I want it exactly like that as a string. So what these mean is when we say \d, this is shorthand for I want a decimal value. Remember the is decimal? That's what this \d will say. So our regular expression for a phone number is number hyphen number hyphen number. Exactly like that. Okay? So it's great to have this thing, but how do we use it now is definitely the next good question. So what we can do is we can call this object that took this regular expression compiled. You can search through, and you could get like a number like this. We'll make. Do you want to make it? We'll make a new one. So phone number search. This one. So what this is going to do basically is search says go through this to look for anything that matches. Remember I called it on this object, so I pass in some string and I said go look. Specifically, this is my regular expression for a phone number. Go look for anything that matches the regular expression of a phone number. So once you do that, it's not very clear, obviously, like what's still going on. So what you want to do is you want to print it. Basically, it contains it puts all phone numbers into a group, and it will let you print it out. So, or it will let you. Well, you can print it, I should say. So if you wanted to print it out, you could say print phone number plus what's up, Hope? So you should be able to try running this real quick and get I'm over here. You should be able to really quickly grab a phone number. A little bit faster. Yes.
When did you use the restroom?
Sure.
So what is the backslash D?
D.
Backslash D.
So backslash D says I'm looking for a decimal number. So just a number, 1 to 9.
So,
0 to 9.
so what would backslash A?
Backslash A?
That be looking for.
Yes, I believe so. There's a couple of these. Here, I'll pull up the list for them.
actually cool in this room.
I cannot find the list of all of them. But yeah, I'm pretty sure backslash A is alpha character. Yes. What now?
Did you so you know when you type an idle, if you have PyCharm, you type PyCharm, yeah. So search ID. Yeah, then you can search just by. Did you run the
Okay, we got that. Tried it. Working. Okay, so really quick, keep the same thing. Give them a second phone number. So you can add onto the string. I'll add my own. Not my phone number, that is, but I'll add another one. Yes.
Are we supposed to reach 21?
Yep.
Only one?
We're gonna cover that. What happens? So what happens, guys? You add two phone numbers, you print it out again, and you get how many phone numbers? One phone number. So what happens if what if I want two? So basically, it's important to know what search does. Search starts from the start. It goes till it finds the first one that matches it. Then it says I'm done. Okay. It does the minimum amount of effort. So we're going to change this. We're going to have to mix it up a little bit. So to create the same thing, if I wanted to get a whole bunch of phone numbers from the list, we have one that's called find all. So the search just searches for one. Find all gets all of them. It makes more effort. So you're going to notice here now it's going to say, you're going to get a thing that says, you can't print num.group. That's because from before, this gives what's called a match. Search returns a match, basically, which is stored in the group, and then you print out the group. Okay? Find all gives us a list of information. So we're just going to modify how we print it out, and we should get all of them. So I need a string, because remember, num, since this returns a list, num will be a list. And we're good to go. So you can go for it one more time. You can add 3 or 4 phone numbers. You can add 15 phone numbers if you're feeling like an overachiever. It'll print out all of them.
They have like 400 kids, right? So getting everybody in the car, probably coming here, probably get back.
We tried that? Working good? Getting both of them printed now? Or 4 or 15? Yes.
What does the find all do by itself?
Find all, what it does, okay, so here's how find all works so I don't read the Python source code, but I'm going to tell you kind of what it does. So what it basically does from a higher level standpoint is it takes this, and remember this is a formatted string, very specifically. These /Ds are not just like, I'm looking for exactly /D. What I say I'm looking for is I'm looking for exactly number, hyphen, number, hyphen, number. Which is what that massive function we had from before did, right?
Also, this shortens the
Yeah. So now instead of I think it was like what, 40, not 40 lines, it was like probably like 30 lines of code maybe altogether. That massive function that just found out if, what you put in was a phone number. Now, what it does, it basically says, great, I'm going to do exactly what our function did from before. I'm going to start from the start and just go, is this a phone number? Is this a phone number? Is this a phone number? Oh, here's a phone number. Great. So search once it finds one, says, I'm done. I have found it. So that's why I only gave you one. Find all says, keep going until you check the whole thing and give me all of them. So that's the difference between these two. But that's what it does on like a high level standpoint. It just runs through the whole thing or until it finds one or many. Okay, we're going to do another little fun part of this. So what happens if people are very mean, maniacal people? What if they write their phone number like this? Oh. Those blasted parentheses. So we have one option. We can create a whole nother one that says if it's got an area code, and then we can search the whole thing again. But, you know, I don't really like that, so we're going to cheat a little bit. So there's one thing you can do with regular expressions is you can specify things that are optional. So, in my opinion, I don't like parentheses. I think they should be optional. So if people put it in, I'll still get the number, just without the parentheses though. So what you do is you use a question mark and parentheses to specify part of the pattern that you think should be optional. So if it's included, it'll keep it. If it's not included, it'll get it anyway. So what you do up here for our compile, we're going to change our standard, or what our basically our regular expression will be. I'm going to add two little parts. So keep it with the R. I'm going to write it. I'm going to erase this part right here first. And I'll just do it again. Okay. Not go to the trash can. Okay. So we want to specify it's a raw string, and so what you do is you can specify that what you want with a parenthesis. You can put and then a question mark, and what you put in here then is optional. Okay. And I think you might need an escape sequence for this. I'll have to go make sure. And then it's \d, \d, \d. And we have another one. Hyphen, \d, \d, hyphen, \d, \d. Let me double check to make sure you don't need an escape.
Is that C or not?
Those are parentheses. Sorry. Let me.
What is the question mark?
You need an escape sequence. I knew it. I should have known that. Oh. Okay. 1 second. Made a mistake. To specify the group differently. I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that. Ooh. Okay, so there's a way to do this. I'm going to actually omit this part. I just realized you guys don't know and probably shouldn't learn how to make this work with a phone number. It's a little complicated. Yes.
My laptop died, but I have to charge it. I have my
I do not know where to plug things in that are not like right there or there. Class ends in like 15 minutes. You should be okay for 15 minutes. Yes. The home. Oh, we'll get to that in a moment. Okay, it's actually part of the next unit, so I'll cover super quick. Sorry, I actually don't want to go over how to do the phone number with the optional. It gets a little complicated. There's a lot of these extra like parts of the regular expression formatting where you can specify different chunks that are optional. But I don't want to show how to do the group the denoting a group and whatnot. Yeah, it's not. All right. So we're really quickly going to move on to a little bit of reading random files on your computer. So when we talk about a file, basically they have a path to a file and the actual name itself. So you should be able to run import. This should be able to do some of your file I/O. This is kind of the first part of it. So just lowercase o, lowercase s. What you can do is you can specify a path just by file path, which like do you guys know what a file path is? Just to confirm before we start. A file path basically is like the C users your name stuff, something like that. So that's what a file path looks like. So what you can do is actually you can take a list of instead of having to specify and use escape sequences repeatedly. The best thing to do is you can use OS. The OS. It has an os.path.join. So yes.
It says unused import student.
Yes, you haven't used it yet. I'm going to use it right now. So right now I'm going to there's going to be some Windows ones. The Mac one will be a little different. I'll try to cover both in a moment. So I'm going to join, this is the Windows one. You see, and then your name. Let's just do that one for now. Oh, sorry. You should probably print this out, by the way, if you're not on the console. And you should get something pretty close to this. On the terminal, or sorry, if you're on idle, do you get 2 backslashes? You get 2? Okay. The reason for that is it's an escape sequence. It's giving you the actual, like, you know, this. Remember how this print gives you one backslash as a string? It's giving you, that's why it's doubled up. So really quick, for the people on Mac, it's kind of similar. You have a user bin. It looks something like this, and one other user bin. I don't remember a subfolder beside bin. I'm gonna do so. This one for Mac users will also work. I mean, right now we're not doing that much, but join user bin. This is the Mac one. So what makes this useful is when we talk about file paths, there's a lot of repeated information, and this kind of makes it a little bit faster. So let's say we're talking about, you guys have probably, I don't know, maybe a homework folder, and you save homework every day, and you name it. You're always kind of looking for the name. It's always got, you know, like homework and then some name. The easiest way to print out all that information kind of quickly is to, like the file paths that is to all that information, is you keep the file path from that you need and you just print out the part that you want. So let's say, let's make up some files. Let's just do homework 1. Homework 2. Homework 3. So if we want to print out the file path, we can't just print out the name. We need that other information from before. So luckily, we're going to make up a folder for them. We're going to say they're in user bin, and I'm going to name something called homework. So what we can do is we can start with the for loop. Whoops. So we have, for the range of my files, basically we're going to print out our same thing, os.path.join. And so what we want to do is we want to specify our first part. So we're going to add user, we're going to add bin, we're going to add another one called a folder called homework, and then we want to specify something from my files. So I'm going to use my files and then give it an index. So my files.
So this is to create a file?
No, this is just printing out file names. Basic, or sorry, I should say file paths. So, I'm actually thinking we're probably not going to get to the homework I wanted to assign, so we may just do no homework because the project's coming up. That'll be fine. What we'll do on Saturday. Yeah, that would be better. So are we trying this out? I just realized I can make this a little bit cleaner. If you guys already wrote code that works, this is fine. I'm going to make a small adjustment to make this a little bit neater. Both should work. Yes. So you should get a printout of user bin homework or user bin homework 1, user bin homework 2, user bin homework 3. Yes, good. Unless I'm crazy, possibly.
Wait,
Yes.
that's for both, right? You can use that
Yeah,
for
both.
like,
Oh, the one I wrote before and the one I just wrote now.
No, Mac and Windows.
Oh, this the user bin one is this is Mac. You can still print it out. Right now we're just printing out text. When we actually deal with file directories, which I'm going to get to, Dennis will get to you. We'll talk about it on Saturday, but Dennis will cover a little bit more on next Tuesday.
Wait, so everything above my files is for Windows, and everything below that is Mac.
Yeah, this is so the C users your name. Okay, so the way Windows and Mac store a file location is a little different. So there's you guys have seen the program files and the program files x86 before. Mac doesn't have that. It's fundamentally a different part of. They're just different operating systems. They work completely different ways. So getting to certain information, bins are kind of like a Linux kind of thing, where it's a folder that stores information and files and programs all at once, and it's specified. So on Mac, we generally call that program files, but we just call it bin to keep it a little bit cleaner. So that's why it's just a little bit different. We also call it user, not users, and then your drive names can be different. So it's a little hard to specify, like per even an individual person, because you could rename any of your folders and cause a whole plethora of problems, which I hope you guys didn't do. But yes.
It says file name is not defined. File underscore.
Did you change the I as well from the for loop? For file name in my files. That should work.
Oh, I
It doesn't work?
okay. File underscore name.
Wait, missing it. Where's the error?
Only it says do not syntax for file name in my files.
Oh, does it not want an underscore?
Yeah.
Is it complaining on the underscore specifically? That would be sad. No, all right. Here. Actually, I'm gonna call class now. I don't want to jump into the next part. It'll take like 20 minutes to discuss. So, Saturday we'll have some fun. I promise you, it won't be that hard. We should be able to finish what we're doing in an hour and a half. So, just like the tic-tac-toe, you'll have something to show at the end. Okay. You want to know? You got it. What's the underscore? Oh, it's an underscore. But the underscore is okay?
never thought. That was so
Has some
much
background
trouble.
software for PyCharm. You don't need it. It's not required. I'm interested. It's called. It has a folder basically specifically to a start menu, meaning you can create you can actually get an application icon. Yeah. Okay, that'll run for a moment.
And then you should be able to run it after that. Yes. Yeah, so in Windows, like I said, I picked out the Mac one. That looks like Mac. We're gonna do that on Saturday. We're gonna talk about both. Okay? So we'll get a Windows one working as well.
You took the Friday geometry.
Yeah, wait, sorry.
You took,
Yes, I teach. Well, now I don't because I teach APCS for a little bit. But yes, I will be back Wednesday.
I was thinking of switching to that class, and I wanted to know what you're like teaching. Is it chapter 4? 'Cause
So I think we're currently finished. We may start at chapter 4 now. I'll have to double check. I basically gave a template for how the class is taught and how the problem. So I don't have any special like you have to do these problems. This is how you should teach the class. I basically say we basically go over about 3 sections every class period, and the homework is about 6 to 9 questions taken randomly from each chapter or each section, I should say. So, 2 to 3 questions from each section, so it totals to like anywhere from 6 to 9 questions total for your homework. As for course content, have you seen the textbook, Geometry for?
I take the Saturday
Oh.
class, and I don't want to be behind if I switch
I think my class is behind
the Saturday.
the Saturday class, to my knowledge.
Okay.
It was when I handed over the reins for 2 weeks to teach other classes temporarily.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's weird. We only have 2 CS teachers, so when one leaves, I'm just like, oh, can you teach every CS class? Yes. Yes. Run startup probably? Or run it now. You can run it. You're gonna wanna really quick. You're gonna ask some more questions. let me really quickly go over.
The whole the X Factor is jump, and. I like Simon, he's the best. America's Got Talent, Simon is the best.
Oh yeah.
He's the best. Yeah? Joseph? What? Already? Where's Rima? Oh, Rima. Okay. I thought you were one of the high schoolers. I'm only going to 8th grade. But you are going to 8th grade next year. Only 1 year. Let's see. You have your t-shirt, right? Wear the t-shirt tomorrow. I have it. Don't forget that.
I do not know where the cable went to plug this thing in.
We can power it, but
I thought Albert said it was already here.
he said it was. Then he came over and found out it wasn't actually here. Okay, so I'm gonna guess he didn't take the initiative to go find and put the cable in. Okay, so
This was plastic that broke. Actually, I didn't even know that was Albert who did it, but
okay, so really, so
I'm gonna roll this up for now. All right.
I can give you like a gimbal mount.
What's that?
A gimbal is a stabilized camera rig. It's for a drone. So basically, it's that. It's these little, it's brackets that allow you to attach the actual camera rig itself that has these like 2 pulls into a drone that has no pull, no mounting slots at all. So it's like these little hook, click, clamp things that can fit screws through. It's wild. Where's my? There it is. Awesome. Okay. Actually, here I'll give you something hilarious. I know what I'll give you. Now, this is something I had to print out. Hey, do you have the cable for this?
Nope.
Nope.
It's getting delivered tomorrow. Yeah.
That hurts.
Theoretically speaking.
That
But,
double.
You know, everything that Edward ordered